Jorge Masvidal is a real topic of conversation. George is doing something very, very well, which is he's keeping his name out there and he's attempting to line with Leon for a world title fight. Now, tactically, he's setting himself up to look like a fool. I understand that. But with great risk comes great reward, right? You can't have both. We end up having a UFC that fell apart. Nate Diaz versus Chimaev, and whatever that was at the press conference, the scale fail, the switch up, Chimaev not being in the main event, not being at 170 pounds, just for example. And it does not go away, the 3-piece and a soda. That great marketing and this fight that's been on your mind for years, it does not go away. George was not overly interested in Leon at the time. At the night of 3-piece and a soda, yeah, boom, you could make it right away. Those guys were in a very similar spot, which is they're two tough guys that are being respected, they're being looked at. But George's star went meteoric. Leon wasn't bringing a lot to the table except a really big risk and a hard night. And George, like anybody, is going to look at the options that he has and take the one that's best for him. And you saw that happen. And that ate up a few years. George rightfully so now is coming back and saying, hey, 3-piece and a soda, why don't we do it? Oh, by the way, it's a main event? Oh, that'd be a pay-per-view? Oh, the World Championship's on the line? Geez, I hardly noticed. I mean, right, George did everything right. He was right to do that. But where are you guys at with George? And it's not on that fight. I understand that you would need hook or crook to get that fight together, but those things happen in our sport, and I would not begrudge George if he was to bet it all and take that risk. I really want it. Even if we do Kamaru and Leon, part 3, take it over to England, all the stuff that we're expecting, it would be very wise if you predicted that's the direction it's going to go. But even if we were to do that, things happen. Volkanovski is in Fight Island right now to compete at a weight class he's never competed in and to put it all on the line. And he trained and worked on it, got his coaches there and got his diet. I mean, he has done everything right. Those things happen. If that's the direction George wanted to go, I don't believe that George would be a backup fighter. I believe they would use somebody else in that role because the chance of seeing George and Kamaru again just isn't worth the risk. However, a short notice fighters, that's very different. 20 days, 15 days, 11 days before the fight, George steps in. I don't know George's personal finances well enough, but I don't believe that George versus Nate Diaz in a sold-out Madison Square Garden was the greatest night of business that George had. I think it was in a room full of nobody fighting for a world championship on Fight Island against Kamaru Usman on short notice. I think that that's the night that changed George's life. Now, I asked you guys where you're at with Jorge Masvidal because that's what matters. If you like the gimmick and you like the character, you're going to like whatever he does. Jorge Masvidal is a bad guy. He likes it. He dresses the part. He does certain things and gives certain interviews to stay in the character of the bad guy. Is that the problem? I've had people suggest it to me. Now, I'm retired and I'm out. So we'll never actually know. I'll never actually try it, but I had very strong creative advisors come to me and say, switch it and go be the good guy. I didn't like that and I resisted it. I don't want to be the good guy. I don't enjoy that. That isn't fun for me. I don't need to hear a bunch of cheers. I need to hear a bunch of boos. Boos are a heel's cheers. That's how I know that I'm doing my job. Also, in all fairness, it was very easy to be the top draw as a bad guy because nobody else wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to play in that end of the pool. Boom, I had the whole thing to myself. However, one of the great developers of storytelling, gimmicks, and characters is Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon maintains that a character and a gimmick must be tweaked every 14 months. I don't know what his math was and how he got to that deduction, but it's the business that he's in. So if he wants to go and do a final analysis and just hand us the answer, I think that we're going to listen. And even if you tweak it, even if you just change something, it must be changed every 14 months. And nobody has been a big drawing heel that at some point didn't go to be a big drawing face. Nobody was a face that then didn't switch to heel. Not that it was a big draw. Certain guys had careers and their careers were unconsequential and they stayed on the main card, they stayed on the undercard, they could play the same character. Okay. Is that what George's problem is? I don't know. I don't know. But there is a miss. Because 3-piece in a soda was very real, and this was a topic that was very real, and it was a match that could not be made because George was too big of a star, and George is now saying, I'll do the match. I can't fault George. I can't fault anything he's doing, but as I observe it, there's something here that's off. What is it? What's missing? Is it that he's staying heel? Is it the bad guy now needs a favor? Bad guys don't need favors. Bad guys don't say please. Bad guys don't get on their knees. Bad guys take. They don't ask. They seize. They don't wait. Is there a miss? I'm asking you. I'm asking a question. I'm not answering it because I don't know it. I'm observing it right now. I will know it. I am studying this very closely. I'm studying every word that George says. I'm studying how many views it gets. I'm studying the reactions. I'm going to the comments. I'm seeing the feedback from the fans, but I'm close. I'm on to something here. There's something within the character that has made the star of Jorge Masvidal. Something within that is missing and conflicting with itself. And it's hard to find. I've always thought it was a mistake by George to not bring out the BMF belt. Now that I know, and I've told you guys, you will never see the BMF belt again. You will never see Masvidal defend that. There's a reason. But it comes back to a smart guy knows what to say, a wise guy knows whether or not to say it. I can't hand away all the secrets of the industry. I can get you very close. There's a reason that belt will never be defended. But I don't like that reason overly. And even if it's not going to be defended, I think that's even more reason that George should be bringing it out. I think it's more reason George should be putting it up. I think there's something within George that goes, listen, maybe the belt wasn't up, but I lost to Kamaru. Kamaru's the BMF. Kamaru lost it to Leon. Leon's the BMF. I think there's a part of him that believes it. But bad guy wouldn't care. Bad guys lie. First off, it's not a lie. The belt was not up. George did not lose it. George is the BMF. Secondly, it's very coveted. Third off, it's very beautiful. You will get a fighter to sacrifice, put everything on hold. His education, his social and romantic opportunities. He will put everything on hold to have a belt. George has one. I think George should be bringing that out. I think that George should be putting it up. Leon fought for the undisputed belt, which we're told is more coveted. He did it in Utah. It's the truth. George won a BMF belt. He did it in a sold-out Mecca with Washington's most powerful and Hollywood's biggest star in attendance. You tell me which you'd rather have. But moreover, I want to hear it from George. I want to hear George talk about what he's willing to put up. What he's got. What he's not going to ask for, what he's going to go out and take. If you're going to be the bad guy, you got to do bad guy stuff.